This episode of the Local Insider Podcast is brought to you in part by My Patriot Supply. There are two things you can count on when you buy from My Patriot Supply: getting high quality food for the best value and the peace of mind that comes with knowing that you're prepared. The emergency food you'll depend on is made from the freshest ingredients. Meals are freeze-dried and sealed airtight with oxygen absorbers and closed in resealable heavy-duty 4-layer zipper packs for long-term storage that lasts up to 25 years. And they're all made in the USA. By ordering today, you'll have the peace of mind that only comes with the ability to feed yourself and those you love in any crisis situation. We think you'll agree you cannot put a price tag on the personal freedom that comes with being prepared. Visit localinsidershow.com/emergency food and pick up your 2-week or 4-week emergency food supply. Again, that's localinsidershow.com/emergency food. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Local Insider Podcast. Let me first thank you for giving us a listen. This episode was recorded over 2 years ago, so this project has been a long time in the making. I will warn you, the audio isn't the best. It was recorded using cell phones. The key takeaway from this episode, and the reason why I went ahead and published it, the main reason why I published it along with the others, is because it kind of holds the why and the reasons for our creation of this platform. And I believe that it echoes some of the founding principles that we as a platform want to convey in every episode, and that's a sense of community and the resilience that comes along with a group of people that decide to organize themselves in a community. I feel it's important to publish our first episode because it shows everyone how you begin, how things aren't ever going to be perfect, that you just have to gird up your loins and just move forward, and you right the ship as you go. So if you have a passion for something that you want to create, and you're waiting on the perfect moment for all the alignment of the stars and the perfect financial situation or the perfect relationship situation, I'm telling you, and one of the things that you will take away from all the guests that have created and have endured in life is the way we create, the way things are started, is you just do it. You just do it. You start. And it won't be perfect. It'll never be perfect. But in those mistakes is where we will learn. And from those mistakes are some of the most valuable lessons learned. So just start. Take a leap of faith and start something. Without further ado, on with the episode.
Welcome to the Local Insider Podcast, a show about everyday people who make a big difference.
And we're live. Christian, how are you?
Good.
Like the wall sweeping video.
What does he say? Wall sweeping, hall creeping, fall steeping. Oh yeah, I'm taking the. Did you ever see that? Did you ever look at that Bobby Duke guy on YouTube?
Mm.
He's this artist that he's really weird. weird, like are kind of weird. And he's just like no filter, making art and being weird about it and all, and stuff. And he's got like a really positive following he like weeded out and found all the people that are as weird as me on YouTube. So like, we all follow him now. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm not holding back. I'm just weird in your face.
Yeah.
I'll try to use it to the business's advantage. Because we're fixing to get GoPros and stuff, and we're gonna record, everything we're doing in time lapse, and then whenever I can get time, I'll edit video and stuff and make videos of like the progression of the builds and stuff. And
that's awesome.
Start doing YouTube.
So did you think of that, or did you see somebody else that was doing it?
What I'm doing?
Yeah.
Like being weird and doing it?
No, the GoPros.
The GoPro? Oh yeah, that's how everybody does it. That does it. There's all the artisans and stuff, the people like that guy that built that cabin by himself up in New York mountains, and the my self-reliance or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's all he did. He just set up GoPros, just edited the video.
So you're the co-owner of Atlas Custom Home Improvement. 2015 graduate of BHS, is that right? 14. If anybody should know that, it should be me. Studied geology at ATU, working and co-owner of a home improvement company. How did you get from geology to home improvement?
Well, as you know, it all started whenever I was in high school, in like the 10th grade. As soon as it was either 10th or 11th grade, as soon as I was old enough to drive, I started working with Charlie, doing the Charlie Draper.
Yeah.
Doing all the carpentry work and stuff around town, and he always had a really high standard of finishing work, like that was his, I don't know, niche in the whole handyman world or whatever, was a good job doing finishing work. And so I pretty much was an apprentice under him until I moved away to go to college, and then got all, a good ways through petroleum geoscience and really liked it, but I found out that I was only working towards a major that would get me $500,000 a year, because it was going to get me $500,000 a year, not because it was something that would have been good for me.
Right.
I loved geology, but it really intrigues me and everything, and I retained a lot of it, but I knew that I was going to be a family man, and a petroleum geoscience traveling around the world finding oil wells isn't the best way to raise a family. So that's why I just decided to use what I already know and capitalize on that.
Right. So you adapted your outlook on life to meet the tools you had.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you ever regret not completing your degree?
Nope. I don't, actually. Only, I would have a bachelor's in science, which would give me, it would move me further up in the line as far as applicants go on, above, just barely above average jobs, but but if you do a good enough job at an interview, you can be right up there with someone with a bachelor's degree.
Right. So what does a typical day look like for you?
For me, well, I wake up about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and
that's a.m., right?
Yeah, a.m. and I'll I get ready, morning routine, whatnot.
Your early morning routine. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, or lack thereof.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what are any tools or routines to be more successful in your business or your personal life?
Well, it's funny because I have a really good idea of what those would be. But with a wife and 2 kids and 1 day off a week, I get all the sleep I can.
Yeah.
You know, which, you know, there's no excuses, and, you know, I'm always planning to get it going, you know, but that sleep's too savory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, I don't sleep until the last minute or anything. I always make sure that I eat a good breakfast and, you know, take care of personal hygiene and stuff like that. But
Right.
what I want to do, because I have that finished outbuilding just outside my back door, it's my office. And we've got internet out there, and it's heated and cooled and, you know, set up for an office and everything. But I did that right when I moved into the house, and then I've never used it.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever have time, or I say that I don't. But I want to get out there every morning,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I wanted a space separate from the chaos in the house to bring everything together and whatnot. But yeah, that's, if I could just devote the time to go out there, you know, an hour or so, I'd have to get up at 4:30, and I get off at 7 and 8. So,
Right.
you know, so that's what kind of makes it impossible right now. But, you know, just time to reflect, time to plan is all I think is that, and good diet is the key to a morning routine, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hal Elrod, I don't know if you've heard of him. He wrote a book, Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod. And what he does is, or what he advises people to do is the night before you write down your goals for the next day. And it kind of goes hand in hand with what other successful people I've heard. For instance, Robert Downey Jr. He was just on Joe Rogan. He was talking about one thing that's always helped him is knowing what your action is. Like, your action is what you've got to do, what you're responsible for, the nuts and bolts of what you've got to have done the next day. So, Miracle Morning, he writes down his goals the morning before, and then he reviews them in the morning when he wakes up.
You mean the night before?
Yeah, sorry. He writes them down the night before, and then he reviews them in the morning. And like he'll have like 3 goals that, you know, the night before you set 3 goals for the next day, and then you review them the first thing in the morning. And that way, you know, as Robert Downey Jr. says, you know what your action is for the day. So whatever hits you, you know that you've got a game plan for the day. Anyway,
You're kind of going into that decision fatigue.
Right.
You know, you want to you know, that's another thing that I wish that I would do, is do something as simple as picking out the clothes I'm going to wear the next day before I get up that morning. Because
Right.
Believe it or not, you know, you don't think about it because you're caught up in the moment, but having those clothes ready, and all you have to do is just put them on,
Right.
is, you know, can shave as much as probably 15 minutes off your routine if your laundry isn't organized at the time,
Right.
you know.
What did Ben Franklin say? An ounce of preparation is worth a pound of something.
Pound of get her done.
Yeah, that's what he
Ben
said.
Franklin.
State law.
State law. Oh, man.
So, your typical day, you wake up 4:30, 5:30, and then you head out to your job site that you're working on, or
Yeah, I carpool with AJ, and he
AJ's your
the co-owner. Yes. The business pays for the gas, so we use one vehicle.
Right.
You know, even though he has to go out of the way to get me, it's still cheaper than taking 2.
Right.
But we carpool, and what we do have, this is where my real routine starts. You know, the whole drive over there, we've got a binder and everything, and if there's anything to talk about, we'll bust open that binder and talk about the budget, talk about the plan, look at blueprints, stuff like that. But after that, as we get nearer to the job site, we'll normally, I don't know, we'll either continue that or not. I don't know why I said as we get near, but when we get to the job site, we spend and we get there before the sun's up every morning, and then we spend I'd say about 30 minutes reading the Bible together, passing it back and forth, and we just go through the books. We just finished Revelation.
That gives every day a positive outlook. When you read Revelation first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Well, hey, in light of all the global tension, it makes you feel really good about it because you're like, well, we're not there yet.
Right.
True. That's and that's why we read it for peace of mind, or because to not be ignorant. But either way, we do that about every morning. Well, no, not about it. We do that every morning, and then we get out, start working, and whatnot. If I go into that, I'll go into the job that I'm on now. So, but yeah, and then I'll work about 12 hours to 13 hours sometimes, and I'll get done with that, go home, eat, go sleep.
So for people that are listening that hear you say, I have no regrets about giving up my ambitions for a degree for what I'm doing now, working 12, 13 hours a day. Is it easier to put in that kind of time when you're working for yourself versus working for the man, so to speak?
Absolutely. That's what makes it easier. That's what makes it easier, because when you're starting a business, I'm living the American dream, even though I'm broke, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And, my wife, she says she sees that it's worth it as well. So and same for AJ and his lady, we're all just a big team working towards the same goal, but whenever you own your own business, you really get a sense of you get out what you put in.
Right.
There's a direct correlation every time.
Right.
If I spend 30 extra minutes marketing, it literally turns into money, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
But whereas if I was working for someone else, if I was my business's salesperson, I spend that 30 minutes working and I get a commission or something, you know what I mean? If I was any other business's marketer, I'm working towards someone else's goals and not my own.
So how do you feel, Tim Ferriss is a big proponent of outsourcing everything you can. Is like your social media management, I know you do that all yourself. Is that something that you may look in the future of outsourcing?
Absolutely. I want to see one thing that we're going to incorporate into it later on, like I said, is a presence.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a small town, and I'm in Van Buren, but I market to Booneville. I get a lot of work in Booneville, and I'm well connected with people on social media from Booneville because I went to high school here.
Right.
So the kids, the kids' parents, the kids and aunts and uncles that I went to school with, we all know each other. Not to mention, my dad was you were the parts manager of the only car dealership in town.
Mm-hmm.
So it all just, I've already got the stage.
Right.
All I got to do is take advantage of it,
So if I'm hearing you right, networking for a business is easier. So let me rephrase that. It's easier for you to make money in the town that you grew up because of the networking you can do than it is to market to a city with a population 5 times that of it.
Well, for me to say that it is easier, it's not necessarily, social interactions in Booneville go really well when I'm talking to realtors or to the large property owners in Booneville. When I'm talking to them, social interactions go really well because I can always build rapport instantly.
There's already a sense of trust.
Yeah. There's, since I'm a hometown boy and whatnot, but as soon as I leave Booneville, when I'm in Booneville and I was raised in Booneville and I played football in Booneville and my family's from Booneville, so I get that little bit of credibility. Mm-hmm. The only little bit you need in order to break the ice,
Right.
But as soon as I leave Booneville, it's just business. Mm-hmm. It's strictly business.
Right.
That's the only difference. But the whole reason I would outsource the marketing thing. The whole reason I would wait on it is because, like I said, I have the presence. Everybody knows I'm goofy. I got class clown. But I want to establish the type of presence that I want before I hand the reins to someone else.
Right. You want to build your brand. Before instead of letting somebody else.
Yeah. I don't want
the architect of.
I don't want my marketing tactics to resemble Walmart's.
Right.
I don't want some cheap 2-bit song on my commercials and what I mean, stuff like that. Like it's just attention to detail, and that's the whole thing about my business is attention to detail.
So I guess you heard about Coach Hyatt.
Yeah,
retiring.
It actually brought a tear to my eye, like Hank Hill. It did. It really did. He taught me how to put myself through a lot of pain just in order to support your brothers.
Right.
Just to help get to the end.
Right.
To pull your weight. Even though I didn't get to finish my senior year, because truthfully it was just too hard on my lungs. It just hurt.
You didn't get to finish your senior year in football.
Yeah, in football. I was having a really hard time breathing. It just kept getting worse, and I was like, screw it. It hurts. I don't want to do it anymore. But everything that I took from it, well, I'll get to keep forever. And not to mention that he, my Uncle Jay, he's like my big brother, mm-hmm. Officer Crosby on the sheriff's department. But he'll to this day says that, Coach Hyatt was the most influential man in his life.
That was another question I had for you. Who was the most influential teacher, pastor, role model when you were growing up?
That's a good question. Other than you, Coach Hyatt.
Really?
Yep. Because one of the main things that he taught was that even when it's hard to do the right thing, do it.
Right.
Even when you don't want to do the right thing, do it. Mm-hmm. And we're dealing with, the emotions of a team of, for us it was like 33, teenage boys and, whoever else, so the minimum of 60 guys out there, with all this camaraderie and testosterone and teen angst and everything, it's a recipe for disaster. And from, because of not only his physical coaching, but his emotional coaching, there was never any problems from us.
Right. So it's kind of like, all life problems are Wing Chun problems.
Yeah, Wing Chun, the martial art.
Yeah. Wing Chun Kung Fu. So it kind of.
You can after you go through Coach Hyatt's football program, you apply it to your life.
Right.
And it always comes, but he trained us like David Goggins, like.
For those who don't know, David Goggins is a former Navy SEAL and endurance runner. You should really check him out if you get the chance. He's a remarkable human being, very fantastic story.
World record chin-up holder.
Oh yeah, he has the world record on pull-ups. He did over like 2,000 in 24 hours.
Yeah, he just did them for 24 hours and then they stopped. And he's like, okay, that was a day, and then stopped. Wow. I mean, I did hold the record in Arkansas and Oklahoma, and it was only, I don't even know how many it was, but I thought I was something. And then David Goggins, does them for 24 hours straight and gets rhabdomyosis or whatever in his arms.
Right.
But yeah, Coach Hott, that's how hard he pushed us,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, that's what my mind goes to though, when I'm working these 13-hour days, especially like in the summertime when it's real hot.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely learned how to deal with heat, but you probably did too.
Oh yeah.
But in the summertime when it's real hot and you get so hot that it just kind of makes you mad, and you're just done with the day.
Right.
In those moments, I get flashbacks to seeing the gridiron. Like
so he instilled. A lot of people say values, but the more I learn, the more it's a creed, because you have a value system, but it's based on a creed. It may not be an unspoken creed, but for most people, and growing up, I was always told God, family, country, then yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself always comes last, and I guess that's kind of what he instilled with you, minus the separation of church and state. But you sacrifice for the team.
Absolutely, and the way he coaches made all of us, it made all of us love each other. We all loved each other.
Right, brothers.
Yeah, and so it's like, I know it's kind of cliche, but like it really, I don't know. I mean, we had a bond like Spartans.
Right. For those of you that have never been a part of an athletic program, and especially if you've never been a part of a Booneville, Arkansas football program, there's tradition in Booneville. It's common knowledge that people that leave Booneville, join the military, Marine Corps, whatever, they come back and they say boot camp was a breeze compared to what we went through with Coach Rippey, Coach Shield, Coach Holloway. That so if you kind of stand those up next to each other, and if you go through boot camp and they tear you down and then they build you up, and then there's a sense of camaraderie between you and your platoon or your unit, or it kind of equates to the same principle in Booneville athletics.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is
football in particular.
Right. Yeah, football in particular. You go through 2 days in the heat of the summer.
And the laws have changed a lot since my graduating year.
Right. Yeah, there are a lot of laws that are in place now that were not there whenever I was in football. Of course, knowing that safety first.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, no one ever was injured, and that's another thing that you saw was.
Yeah, he didn't just run with it and have no boundaries.
Right.
If someone needed attention, they got it. And he didn't just ride the line of okay and not okay. Like, he paid close attention to our physical states.
Right.
And he had an intimate relationship with us. As far as a coach and players could go, he had an understanding of each player. And knew their limits and stuff. And
right.
So since he did such a good job at it, through and through, he was the only one in the position to be pushing us that hard.
Right.
Because he knew how.
Right.
But a lot of these coaches, a new coach on a job doesn't need to have the authority to do that. So there has to be guidelines set now so that he can, because there's a lot of, a lot of guys I graduated with, or graduated the year before me are coaches. Heck, I think one of the guys I graduated with is one of the coaches at Booneville. But, a new coach on the job may not know that, yeah, this kid can run this hard, but this one can't, or this kid can handle the heat like this, but this one can't,
Right.
So they might say, oh, I went to Booneville, I'm going to go and push these kids as hard as I was pushed or something.
Right.
Not understand, I don't know. I'm not a coach, but.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. You see the state titles and the conference titles and the wins versus losses. I forget the statistics, but it was very impressive.
Well, we went 14-0.
Right, and they did that a couple years.
Yeah, we just won every game, and took state.
That's unheard of.
And it's all because there was only 33 of us. I didn't start the whole time or anything. I was strong and fast and kind of knew what I was doing, but not a whole lot. But I couldn't keep up with it well enough. But yeah, like pretty much the same 11 to 15 guys played the entire game, every game, like except for the ones where we really got really far ahead, but they would get us there, and then the other guys would get to rotate out.
Right.
But if the score was close, first string was in, and that was the same, 11 to 13 guys or 11 to 15 or so, and it's not like Trinity, Texas, where you got an entire college football team playing high school football,
right.
It's just a group of kids all from the same town that want it so bad that they work hard enough to not have people to relieve them throughout the whole game and win 14 games in a row.
Right. Pretty impressive.
It is.
So, who's the next coach? Doc Crowley?
Doc Crowley. Yep. I only knew him when he was in his early 20s, so I'm in my early 20s, and I know I'll grow up a lot by the time I'm his age. That's all I got to say about that.
So what is your favorite thing about growing up in Booneville?
Honestly, growing up in Booneville, if you want entertainment, you're either a good kid or you're a bad kid. And if you want entertainment, you either do physical activities or you stay in houses. Right. And the good kids will go play sports and play video games and stuff, but Booneville's so boring that's too boring for some kids. Mm-hmm. And they want a little more. They want some excitement and stuff, and they go looking for it in all the wrong places.
Well, you've looked for it other places as well, but but growing up in Booneville, there was no blurry lines or anything. Since a small population, right. Like if a kid was a troublemaker, he was labeled as one, right? And he took that name and kept it, type of thing. But so do you think? I know you hear that a lot, like, oh, there's nothing to do, small town, whatever. But do you think there's a lot of that has to do with, the way you look at things and maybe the way the parents spoke to the children? I mean, I know I never really bashed Booneville growing up. Yeah. You never heard that come out of my mouth. And yet you didn't play video. There was a time there you played PlayStation for a little while. You weren't the gamer that your brothers were. Yeah. You kind of you set it down because you found adventure and wilderness, hiking, camping, outdoors things a little more exciting than video games. So
that's where I got my, the quench for my thirst of adventure instead of escaping into some reality, virtual reality.
Now it's funny we're talking about this. I just I heard Dr. Jordan Peterson talking about there's you can predict self-esteem by subtracting negative emotionality or neuroticism from measured extroversion. So that means that people who are extroverted and experience many negative and don't experience as many negative emotions score highly on scales of self-esteem.
That makes sense.
So, and kind of to get where I'm going with this, I don't want to lose anybody, but he was talking about Dr. Jerome Kagan. He's emeritus at Harvard. He's a developmental psychologist. He studied temperamentally inhibited children, and they were able to spot it at as early as ages 6 months. And they found that if you encourage the children into the world, you could shift them into a more stable personality configuration. So when they're showing signs of distress, and instead of encouraging them to retreat, that was kind of the common thing whenever you were young was, they're saying if your kid is upset, let them take time out and and think about their feelings.
Oh yeah, that's not what I do.
I know, because
I'm like, is that how you're going to handle it? No.
So what they found is if you encourage them to go out and explore the world, which is very different than making them believe in themselves or feel better about themselves. If you make them, so long story short, you go to the playground and you have your child with you, and if they're an introvert or not an extrovert, I should say, they will kind of stay behind your leg. Whereas an extrovert, you get them out of the car and this is the way Dr. Peterson described it, is their feet are already going, kind of like a dog over water, and you just set them down and they run to the other kids. And then you have to peel them away when it's time to go. But the introverted children will kind of hide behind your leg. And what the literature, or what his research shows, is that if you encourage them just to take a few steps forward and engage in the world a little more and a little more, you're not going to swing them all the way over to be an extrovert, but it will help them along the way. It'll make them a little more self-reliant, and it
has a direct impact on self-esteem.
Exactly.
I think you could say the same thing about dancing. I have tons of self-esteem and tons of confidence, but I've never danced. My wife's like, "You're going to take me dancing sometime soon," and I'm like, "Oh no," because I've never desired to. I'm like Ron Swanson.
Yeah,
like I'm just like, why do I need to do that? But because I want to be a good husband and everything, I've been researching it. I haven't tried it yet, but I've been researching it, and what I've learned about the psychological aspect of overcoming not wanting to dance or seeing no point in it, it takes you back down to your roots and says, no, you don't have good enough reasons, you're just insecure, and then You're like, oh great. And so and then it's like, well, here's how you get going, and then after you make it through it, you're going to be more, apparently it's a pretty great thing to do. I've never done it.
That's funny. I called your cousin Amy the other day. When I was growing up, I didn't dance at all, and I was deathly afraid of dancing up until I lost the fear of what other people thought I looked like. Yeah. Because if I was going to dance, I want to be the best dancer. I didn't want to be a mediocre dancer. I wanted to be the best dancer. And she was a really good dancer. I mean, she
spent a lot of time doing it.
Yeah. Paula Abdul was, always playing,
Is that the flash dance chick?
No, Paula Abdul was a pop singer in the early 90s. She was in movies, Straight Up was one of her songs. Anyway, that's not important. The important thing is it was fear that stopped me. But now I'll dance. It doesn't bother me, because I'm old enough now that I have the confidence. I'm not afraid.
Yeah, and I thought that I was that way, but it's a false sense of security, a false sense of self-esteem,
right.
And then now I'm like, well, dang, I really need to do this because a false sense of self-esteem causes personality traits that are definitely negative,
right.
And I need to get that taken care of, so I'm going to do it.
Right, work on that, bro. So. Yeah, so what I would do when all my friends would go out dancing, I would just kind of stand there and move my arms. And
like you had a couple of shake weights?
I kind of looked like the Carlton. Yeah, and I thought I was just playing it safe, but that was actually the opposite of playing it safe.
Yeah, everything that I've been hearing lately is the looser you are, the better you look.
Right. So, anyway.
Yeah. How do we get from, I don't even know how we got here, talking about dancing.
We went from Jordan Peterson to Paul Abdul to...
Yeah, you were asking me about my day, and then you asked me about Coach Hyatt. quitting and everything.
Right. So what advice would you give a young person growing up in rural Arkansas, Booneville?
Oh, yeah.
Paris. What advice would you give?
We are in some of the most beautiful country in the world, and take advantage of it. Just keep the hiking trails alive.
Right.
You know, we're 20-something miles from Ozark, right?
Right.
You know, you can go kayaking and stuff up there. There's 52 state parks. You know, and if you're a little kid in rural Arkansas, like a place like Booneville, there's still adventures to be had.
Yeah, even the city park, Marshall Phillips Park, has plenty of wilderness.
Yeah, I spent days and days and days in creeks.
Yeah.
You know.
Catching crawdads.
Yeah, and there's something for everybody. You know, like me, I've always been fascinated with science. So what I paid attention to was the wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the plants and stuff. You know, but other people, they pay attention to other aspects of it. We're from it, so there's something for everybody in it. You know, but that's my advice. When you live in a town where the big social square is Walmart, you know, then you need to make your own fun.
You know, I love Walmart. You can go there and you can see
what a monopoly looks like.
Well, yeah, not only that, I love that everybody goes there. I would feel better about spending my money there if it were a local shopping center with that was locally owned by every.
Yeah, if it were like a marketplace.
But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, they I don't know, man. I don't know anything about laws like this, but you know, everybody asks, what would you do if you were president for a day or whatever? If I was in charge of a small town for a day, I would do something to prevent Walmart from coming into my town and doing what it did to Waldron. You know? Right.
Well, I mean,
y'all have turned that around now, but I like to think with the new place there. But everybody in Waldron, you know, it moved into Waldron, shut down all the mom and pop shops that were selling things that Walmart sold, and then left, and then made everybody in Waldron spend so much more money on fuel to go other places to get it. So it took away jobs, and now it's affecting people's budgets, you know?
Right.
So that's what I don't like about Walmart. But
what does Atlas Custom Home Improvements, how do they differ from other home improvement companies?
Well, there's a lot of ways. There's I'm not going to sit here and say that we're the end-all, be-all of home improvement businesses, because I like the type of guys that do what I do, and I want them to succeed as well, because I know what they're doing.
Tell me about that. What's the difference between somebody that wants to be the only one versus somebody that wants a healthy market? Because a lot of people don't understand that. They can't really wrap their mind around it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me think for a second. I think I can tie it back around to, if you're a guy that does what I do, if you're a contractor or a home builder or something like that, your business is people's livelihoods. You know, you don't, every other job, you're out there and you're interacting with other people in the work world. Unless you work retail, then you're interacting with people when they're not at work or they're not at home, you know?
Right.
But I interact with my customers at their house.
Right.
You know? So it gives you a really real sense of what life's about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when I'm adding on to someone's house and one of their walls is ripped open and I just get to see them live.
Right.
And it just, I don't know, or whenever I'm painting a room in someone's house and you have to walk through their living room 15 times that day, you just see what people do with their day, you know, whether you want to pay attention to it or not. And it kind of humbles you and shows you, like, you don't need to be rich. You don't need to have all this. You don't need to have all this. Like, people, you're going to go through your life at the same speed no matter what you have.
Right. Most people are all the same. We all have the same wants and needs.
Yeah, and then when you realize, when you're in so many homes or whatever, and you see what the fundamentals are, you kind of only look for those. And I know my job makes me that way, so, and I interact with other people that do what I do, and I see that they're kind of that way too, and they're just good old boys trying to make the most honest living that you can.
Right.
I mean, this is what Jesus himself did.
Right.
He was a carpenter and worked on, stuff, but, there's an immense amount of respect that I have for people that make an honest living in a small town or whatever. And there's the number one thing I hear from people, from my customers, is I couldn't find someone to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, there's all these other businesses. Well, they're all tied up, so I don't have to monopolize all of Booneville with my business. Yes, I am going to market more than the other guys because I'm younger than them. I know my way around social media a little better.
Right. And there's something to be said about, I've been in retail most of my adult life. Mm-hmm. And if I've learned anything, I've learned that the smaller the market, the more stagnant the market, because the absence of a market leads to complacency. Mm-hmm. And complacency leads to a terrible product.
It really does, yeah.
Because there's no checks and balances. Mm-hmm. If you live in a town where there's only one plumber, and that plumber will get to it when he wants to, and he'll do it, he'll cut corners if he wants to, because he has nobody that's going to do it. He's still going to eat. That's
one of the unspoken beauties of capitalism.
Right.
But yeah, what makes us different, like I said, I want the other guys to do well as well, but what makes us different from them is there's a few things. One of them is we're a little more high tech.
Right.
Especially in this area. Like right now we're budgeting and saving up for some stuff.
Trade secrets. Huh?
Yeah, some secrets that are going to definitely move us ahead of everybody else.
So you're using technology to advance your edge.
Yes, I mean I'm not going to say I'm going to try to copy the HGTV shows or whatever, right. But my goal is to make eventually, just like yours, or one of yours is with this podcast, to really reach the local area instead of trying to be like a global or nationwide thing, right. Like grow where you're planted type of thing, Right. I want to. People in Booneville are so bored that they spend most of their day on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I could literally make a show on my page on Facebook that people would see, and they would begin to follow. Because when we add my goofiness and stuff, whether people like it or not, it makes it different. And you're showing, our little twist on it, but you're showing local people's homes be improved. And whenever someone pays to get their home improved, it's something they're proud of.
Right.
So they don't mind to have it on there. So it's good for everybody. It's good for me because you see it. It's good for them because they get to show off their new house or whatever. And everybody else gets to see it happen in the local area. And eventually I want to be I want it to be a household name in Booneville, like, right. Did you see his house was on their show?
Well, I don't think that people in Booneville are so bored. I just think that everybody is on Facebook. In the demographic of your clientele, that demographic is on Facebook. You go a little younger, you're on Instagram a little more, but
homeowners are generally on Facebook.
Right. So, and people, there's kind of a I don't know what the word I'm looking for to describe it, but when they see somebody that they know in a setting that you're creating, like well, let's just say, not a lot of people make videos locally,
especially around here. Yeah.
Right, because they, for whatever reason, So when they see somebody they know, it piques their interest because there's that word that eludes me, but So I would tend to think it's more that than it is that they're just bored.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. All the people that are my age are on it when they're bored.
I see.
But, other people are reading it like the newspaper.
Right.
But, that's not what makes us different, though, but that's something that we're fixing to do that will set us apart.
Right.
What makes us different is we're a Christian business.
Right.
And we're not all prudish or anything about it, but when people come to us, and it's not like we can afford to be a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever got an opportunity to do something like that, I would, to turn it into something like that, where if the community got together and banded to pay us to help the other people in the community's houses, I gotta be
Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, I would. If I saw an opportunity to turn it into that, I would. But the thing that sets us apart is, not only does our faith cause us to, what sets us apart in that aspect, I mentioned that we were a Christian business and everything. Well, even the situation we're in right now, we're doing a job right now, and we're helping a woman in her final days, and she's got stage 4 COPD. We're helping her turn her bedroom in her house into an apartment because she has to live with assistance with her family, and she doesn't like to be around all of her family all the time. No one does, and she wants some peace and quiet in her final days, and she's really stressed out and everything. So we're turning her bedroom into a full-on apartment, and she's got a budget that's for other guys may have been a little unrealistic, but we're just paying ourselves how much we need to pay our bills and helping this woman get what she needs to be comfortable in her final days.
Right.
And we're doing it because we feel led to do it.
Right.
Like we were put there, we're really broke starting out this business and taking everything we can get, but our faith takes us to the places where we need to go, and we treat it as such.
Right.
And in saying that, there comes the integrity of our work.
Right.
In Corinthians it says, do your work as unto God and not unto man. And we take that very seriously. So whenever I'm laying on your bathroom floor putting some quarter round up and it goes behind your toilet and you can't see it there, I'm not gonna, make some kind of ugly joint if I have just enough to put 2 pieces back there. I'm not gonna where they touch, I'm not gonna leave it looking ugly just because it's behind your toilet. I'm gonna sand it, caulk it, and paint it just like if it were in front of your bathtub or something like that. Like that's the difference, because I know that it's worth it, and I know that if I do it for that reason, that we will continue to be blessed, and our business will continue to grow, but for all the right reasons, and we'll be helping ourselves and others. So I like to think that is the key, that's the little key ingredient that separates our business from other people's businesses that do this.
All right. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years. In 5 years, I project, using the data that I've collected so far on the growth with my business and the direction my life's going, I project that we will have a full, I know we will have one, because we're fixing to have another team. All we got to find is the manager to help us do it, so that we can manage multiple projects at once. But it has to be the right guy.
So you're looking for a crew leader?
Yeah. We need one of those that we can trust with, in other situations, to do things with the same mentality that we do. And it may take 5 years to find that person, but we'll find them. But eventually, the business will be more profitable, and I will. I'll probably just be focusing on, just keep doing what I'm doing. Really, I see myself in 5 years. I see myself more stable. In 10 years, I see myself growing this business to the point of being able to leave it, profit from it, and pretty much go buy land in the mountains and have own rental properties.
Right, get into real estate.
Yeah, and our business is geared towards eventually, since it's an LLC, one of our branches is going to be a real estate holding company, and we plan to manage properties, and we already manage some properties, but we plan to own them and let the business itself own properties, and the co-owner and I benefit from the runoff of the business in the real estate area, But that's all I've got planned, really. I'm just working so hard because I want to give my wife an opportunity to do something that she loves, and I can get my home in the mountains, and that's all I want in life.
There we go, back to the wilderness. How do you think role models have changed since you were a child?
Role models. Well, considering that now polls show that the number one job that children put on what do you want to be when you grow up is an YouTube influencer. Right. So now I think role models, because of how free information is now and how easy it is to get whatever you want online, and to get you go online for a day and you're going to find yourself in your niche. Mm-hmm. Right. You're going to find yourself surrounded by people that think just like you do. Right. So that being said, I couldn't make it in school today. I couldn't do it. There's too many people into too many different things. You know what I mean? And everybody's clique is growing at its own speed now. Like whenever you were in school, everybody turned to the TV or to video games, and for visual entertainment and virtual entertainment and stuff like that. So everybody was looking at the same things. Right. It wasn't as diverse as it is now. But now something over here will grow just as fast as something over here, and we end up with, in 15 years, there's grown men walking around with My Little Pony shirts on and stuff. Brownies. Yeah, brownies. And that's what's happening. It's an echo chamber effect. Yeah, and so there's really no such thing as one of those umbrella role models anymore, unless you're talking about something that people widely, like UFC or something, whoever's doing the best at the time, right. Everybody's eyes on him, like something like that. Like Connor last night. Connor took out. Did he win? He did. 40 seconds. Dang. Yep. He's a live one. Yeah. But yeah, so what was the question again about the role models? How that changed since you were a child? Oh yeah, so that's how they've changed. Yeah, a role model is not the same thing now. A role model is someone who does what's interesting to you. Right, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's kind of was my focus for the podcast, was when things. Seems like when things go big, you have to go small to fix them. So, and I see it going off the rails. That's what I do really, is I Gary Vee says I day trade in attention. I see where the attention is. So, and it's for children growing up, it's not great. Mm-mm. When I was growing up, one of my biggest role models was Michael Jordan. And I knew that I wasn't going to be a pro basketball player. Mm-hmm. That didn't stop me from playing basketball, but I knew that I wasn't going to be a pro basketball player. The difference is the kids nowadays, the role models aren't, like you said, they're not seen by everybody. And they're only seen by the people who like them. And there's no accountability. Whereas even on the television, you have FCC, YouTube, there's no they can say what they want. Children today can. It freaks me out what kids watch today. Yeah. It's really weird. Like I walked in my mom's house and my little sister was watching this ASMR video.
What is ASMR?
Okay, so my little sister is 5 years old, and she was watching a video of this woman that had some of that slime that all the little girls are making that's made out of Elmer's glue and stuff, and she was just squeezing it with her hands. A YouTube video, like a 10-minute long YouTube video of a grown woman just playing with this slime on a table. And I'm like, how does that make sense? Why can't you go play with some slime?
And it's targeted to children.
Yeah, like why do you do this? And all they do is they do these things like this, these simple things that's just mind rotting, you know. It's just it puts your child's mind on idle, you know. And they do these things and they know that little kids are watching them. So people that have products to sell to little kids pay those people that have those videos for ads of their products to put it in front of those little kids. And that's all that's going on right now. So like, right. I refuse to ever be a YouTube parent. Right. You know, like I, as soon as I saw that, I said, my kids are going to stay out of YouTube until they need to learn something from YouTube.
Right.
You know? But it's dangerous. There's what has happened today is there's Whole Foods and then there's McDonald's. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The McDonald's of entertainment, the junk food of entertainment is that fluff on YouTube. Right. You know?
Or Twitch or TikTok.
Yeah, social media in general, you know, and we don't need to be feeding that to our children's growing minds.
Right. Well, I mean, there was a bit of it when you were growing up. You know, you guys always had funny, but they were normally people doing stupid things. Mm-hmm. That's one of the great things about internet. You know, I grew up before internet, and my generation got to see the difference between life on internet and before internet. You know, I would never have gotten to see somebody jump off of a roof and try to land on a ladder to dunk a basketball. I would never get to see that. You know, some people may, Anyway, so it's a very there was some of that, but like I was saying, my purpose for this is really to let people know that your role models don't have to be in LA. They don't have to be. It's okay to, like you said, grow where you're planted. Mm-hmm. You know, odds are you're not going to be that YouTube influencer. If you are, and that's your dream, you know, more power to you. But odds are, just like I was never going to be Michael Jordan.
And then there's another problem with being a YouTube influencer. It's easy. It's easy because people are easy. Because if I want more publicity, act like this. You know, you can play it to your advantage, especially if you start paying attention to it when you're young. Tiger Woods started playing golf when he was 3, and by the time he was his age now, he's won all these gold cups or whatnot. Our minds are powerful, baseline. And when you start paying attention to YouTube that young and you want to be a YouTube influencer, you're going to have everything you need to do that by the time you're old enough to do it, or by the time you figure it out. But the thing is, what goes up must come down.
Well, and also, so are all the other kids that want to do that.
Yeah, so it's just going to raise the bar, you know. Right, it's going to be like lowering minimum wage. I mean, raising minimum wage in a small town, you know. Like, for a minute, everybody has more money, but then next thing you know, a gallon of milk is $10. Yeah, $10, you know. But it's the same thing. And like I said, you know, like when you look at big celebrities, there's no big celebrity that stays in the limelight forever. You know, like unless you make like $200 million because of your YouTube influence and stuff, how are you gonna project a retirement out of that? Mm-hmm. You need to be investing your profits or something. You're not just you can't just rely on it. Because there's so many people I follow on YouTube that 3 years ago they were doing good, but now they're like, hey, come on, Patreon guys.
Yeah,
where are you at now?
They changed the algorithm. Google, Alphabet, God love them, but they know how to throw a wide net. And then when they pull it in, and they change the algorithm.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as easy to get the clicks you were before. Same thing with Facebook. The attention used to be cheap, but it, there was what is it called, Charlie's World or something like that. Some like 7-year-old kid is a multimillionaire.
Oh, the kid that reviews toys.
Yeah. And
so he does unbox toys and review them, and other kids watch it. And it's honestly that's like the golden child example of what it could be. That's great.
But there's only one of him. There's but every kid that wants to do that starts their channel. They get 5 followers, then they get stuck in this dopamine feedback loop of, I'm going to make it big. I've already got, I've been on a day and I've already got 5 followers. They may get up to 5,000. They may monetize and get.
Whenever Vine came out, I had 8,000 followers on Vine. I had more than anybody else in Booneville, and I deleted it because I knew it. I was like, this is going to cause me to be something I don't want to be, and I deleted it. But I'm fortunate enough to see stuff like that coming. But these other kids, they get their hopes up, and then they use it to gauge how much they value themselves. And then when they don't get the feedback they want, they take it directly and personally, and it tears them down, and they get depressed. And what do you know? Another depressed child in 2020.
Right.
But
anyway, on a lighter note, that was kind of my focus for this podcast, was to give, if anything else, just to be a medium to tell the youth, and give hope to the people that we have to start locally to change. All change starts small.
Yeah.
And there are people in this community that are heroes that have done, that have saved lives, changed the world. People that are war heroes, that are people that have invented things that have influenced our lives. But
well, your point being, now you can have a local limelight, a true one.
Right.
It's up for grabs. Right. You don't there's no newspaper to tell you what's going on in town anymore. I mean, there is, but no one cares about it.
Well, it's not that.
It has its purpose, and they hold that niche. But now it's truly free, and people can get attention when they deserve it, and stuff like that on the local level.
It's just difference in technology, like you were speaking about your business. Newspaper is way overpriced. Someday it may not be, but right now it's overpriced for information. Not that the paper itself is expensive. If you're going to advertise on it, if you wanted to,
you got to pay all the people that are trying to support their jobs.
And newspapers are great for a record. That's really what they are. Is they're a record. But they're not where people go to learn about everyday things that happen. If it makes a newspaper, it's something really, really big.
Top of the list.
Because they don't put out a paper every day.
Yes.
We're not big enough for a daily newspaper. Anyway, who's your favorite author, or what is your favorite book, or anything that you're reading now?
I would have to say my favorite author is Gary Paulson. Even though his writing style is super simple and everything, he's inoculated me with the adventure that drives me forward.
Right.
His, like Hatchet and stuff like that.
My Life in Dog Years.
Yeah, it's just, he writes to young men.
Right.
And there's something for everybody, men and women in it. A woman can get as much out of it as a man can, but he's a young man, and he's putting when he's writing these things, and he's putting his experiences and stuff and fantasies on the paper, and it's very similar to a lot of young guys. We take it on wholeheartedly, and I read that when I was in 4th grade, and I still haven't forgot about it. Mm-hmm. It interested me so much in self-reliance that from that point forward, I've never stopped learning primitive technology. I've never stopped learning Aboriginal living skills and stuff like that, and it's made me who I am. It's a good quarter of the pie chart of my identity.
Right, self-reliance. Okay, well, I think we've got a good hour. We're over an hour now, so
sweet.
I appreciate you coming on.
Yep.
And you have a website you want to plug or give out any info?
My website is kind of unnecessary right now, so I'm not paying for it right now. But because Facebook's doing everything that I need it to be doing, so just check us out on Facebook at Atlas Custom Home Improvement. But other than that, just shop local and support local businesses, and just look for that cornerstone of happiness that is a sense of community.
Very well said. Christian Cooper, thank you very much.
Thank you.